Computer. Brilliant. Hello, everybody. My name's Honor, and I'm from Honor Way Marketing. We work with a selection of lodges in Africa and represent them to the European markets. And today I am doing an interview with Nicki Chacksfield from Dartisan Social. She's a Facebook strategic marketing, ads marketing. Sorry, I've got it all wrong. Anyway, Nicki, you tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Okay, so I'm a Facebook ad strategist. That's the official name for it, but it basically means that I manage Facebook and Instagram ads on behalf of businesses. So that's not just about setting up an ad, it's about talking to clients about their overall objectives and then making ads work to help deliver those objectives. So it's designing a campaign to fit within a budget, testing different markets, testing different creatives, to try and drive the desired results.
And what led you into this path?
Well, my background's in marketing, and a couple of years back I decided I needed to upskill in the digital arena. So I embarked upon a course in social media marketing, and that led me to Facebook paid advertising. So it was a path that started with organic work, and now I generally just focus on doing paid ads for people, paid social.
Brilliant. And so that was that for another company? Was that for yourself, the organic, when you started out?
It was a course that I did, and then I worked with clients delivering their organic social media for them. And then quickly realised that paid social was the way forward. Facebook changed their algorithm probably during the time I was upskilling, actually, making it more difficult to reach people organically. And paying is a way to achieve results, but you really need to know what you're doing. It's quite easy to throw your money away. There's lots of different objectives and things like that, so with Facebook ads. So I really wanted to get into the nitty-gritty, so I trained with somebody who herself trained with Facebook's global team, so that I could learn the ins and outs of Facebook Ad Manager.
Okay, and I think that the key point here is that it really doesn't have to cost a lot. So even for small companies like mine or like other smaller companies, it really doesn't have to cost a lot, does it?
It doesn't have to cost a lot. You have to have a reasonable budget, and it depends what you want to achieve. So if your objective is about building awareness, then you could probably achieve that on about £5 to £10. Well, £5 a day to build awareness and build your page followers and so on. But if you want to actually sell products, then you will need a little bit more than that. And the minimum that Facebook ad strategists recommend is £10 per day per audience. So I wouldn't normally work with someone for less than £300 a month, an ad budget of less than £300 a month, because it just makes it less competitive, because you're competing with other people for the ad space, basically. But it's much cheaper than other forms of advertising.
No, absolutely. But before we sort of look at that a little bit, let's talk about social media in general.
Yeah.
So looking at social media trends, I think it's something that many of us have probably dabbled with. We're all trying our best. Unluckily, or whatever you want to call it, in small companies, we don't have the ability to hire a social media manager or anything. So let's talk about social media trends right now.
Well, social media is on the up, which is sometimes quite hard to believe, isn't it? Because it gets quite a lot of bad press sometimes, especially Facebook's had a lot of bad press in recent years. But overall usage is up by 8% this year. And there's actually, I couldn't believe this stat when I discovered it. There's 3.81 billion users using social media.
I think you have to say that again.
3.81 billion users.
Wow.
And this puts it into perspective. I was born in 1971, and there are now more people using social media than there were on the planet in 1971.
Oh my word. Wow. And that's, just to clarify, that's a range of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah, that's across all platforms, TikTok, across all of them. 3.81 billion, but that's a lot of people. And it's expected that over half the world's population will be using social media by the end of this year. So it's highly, highly likely that the majority of businesses' audiences are on a platform somewhere across the world.
And probably increasingly at this time in you know, during the COVID time and
Yeah,
lockdown, etc.
during lockdown, usage has gone up because people have had more time on their hands. They've been at home in lockdown, and the usage has gone up. And 47% of people are staying in app for longer. And the reports coming through are saying that 15% of people say that it's likely that their habits, their new habits, will stay. I think because the importance of staying in touch with people, because we can't meet socially, so using things like WhatsApp video messaging and so on, you can video message on Instagram and Facebook. I think it's brought people back in touch with what Facebook and Instagram in particular are about, and they're seeing them as a different, with a different eye, really, looking at that. They're keeping them in touch with people, and maybe they're starting to like them again, or particularly Facebook. I think Instagram's always been more popular, but I think the popularity of Facebook is coming back as well. Yeah, and also there's been a huge acceleration in online sales as well. Lots of people are shopping online, and they're hitting those ads that are coming up in Facebook and Instagram more so than they ever have before, probably because they're in app for longer and they've got more time in their hands and they can't go to the shops. So they're doing more shopping through those apps as well. So that's been a big change. But it also means because people are spending longer on social media, then there's been a slight increase in organic reach as well. So these are the, you know, the normal posts that we put out that we don't put any money behind. Historically, over the last 2 years, organic reach has dipped and dipped and dipped, and it's been really hard for businesses to reach people. On average, only 2 to 5% of your followers will see a post. But that because people are spending longer, then organic reach has increased a little bit. I doubt that will stay as people start advertising again as we come out of lockdown and more businesses, you know, at their marketing again. But it's encouraging for the smaller business who hasn't got the budget to advertise. Yeah.
And so I mean, we touched a bit about the positivity, the most valuable platforms there. You know, I think it's difficult because, again, you know, focusing on smaller businesses like mine, where you don't have one particular person focused, would you then recommend sort of Facebook, Instagram? Those are the major ones, or?
It depends on where your audience is. So there isn't one, you know, platform for every business, and one platform suits all. What I would say is think about your client avatars and where you think they're hanging out. So it depends on what sort of business you're running. You know, if it's business to business, it might be more LinkedIn or Twitter. If it's more male oriented, it might be Twitter. But Instagram and Facebook are generally more sociable as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't think you can lose. Facebook is still the largest social media platform in the world. Okay. They have so 2 billion active users every month. So it's still the biggest one. Wow. Yeah, so that's why you'll see lots of different businesses advertising there. But yeah, I would say for a small business, don't worry about being everywhere. Think about where your clients are, where your audience is, and focus on one or two. Do what's realistic. It's better to do a really good job on 1 or 2 platforms than a not so good job across 5 of them. And because it takes time, and it takes planning and thought and consistency to run your social media platforms well. So I think it's better to just do 1 or 2 well. And
when you say consistency, what do you kind of mean by that?
Well, I see social media as whether it's Facebook or Instagram, as like a personal profile exhibition of your business. So if you're planning a marketing brochure, you'd sit down and think about what the pages are going to look like, what the wording, the copy is going to say. And it's exactly the same with social media. It's representing your business, and it's reaching out directly to your audience. So it needs to reflect your brand values, your branding, what you stand for, your values, your ethics, and so on, and just reflect your business as a whole, like any other form of marketing would as well. And that's why it does require thought and planning and time.
A lot of time.
It does take a lot of time. Social media is a marathon, not a sprint, and it's also with results. You know, you might spend a lot of time planning it, have a social media strategy, implement that strategy, but it can take months and months before you start seeing the results that you would want from it. It's a slow process. And actually ads can be the same as well. It depends where you are with levels of data that you have available to make ads work for you. The more you do, the more the algorithm likes you. And that's across Facebook and Instagram. They're the two platforms that I specialise in.
Okay.
So the more you do organically and the more you do paying wise, the more the algorithm will do for you.
Absolutely.
Basically.
So what would be your top tips for a small business on, let's say, Instagram?
Okay, my top tips for Instagram are basically to post regularly. If you only have the time to post once a week or once a fortnight, then it's probably not worth it. So try to post as often as you can. If not daily, then every other day. And don't ignore stories. Stories at the moment are the place to hang out. So if you've only got time to post in stories, then just post in stories every day. The beauty about stories is that they can be a bit more raw and real. They don't have to be particularly branded. If you can do a mix of both, then that's even better. So yeah, try and be in stories. Also use hashtags in stories. You can include 10 hashtags in a story, and people often say to me, "Oh, but they look really ugly." But you can type them in and then pinch them down so you can't see them, and hide them behind stickers. And if you share a post to your story, you can hide them behind that. So it's great to include stickers there as well. It's just mainly to be visible, stay visible, be authentic and be real. And just try and be in touch with your audiences, and don't just talk about yourself all the time. Try to think about what your audience might be interested in, other than what you're selling.
And engage them.
Pardon?
And engage them.
Engage your audience as well. Yeah, definitely engage them. So think about your captions. Try to, create a level of curiosity. Ask questions in your captions. Just try and get people to answer, because it's really, really hard. Your image is how you get people to stop scrolling, and then they read the caption. Mm-hmm. And then it's whether they're going to take the time to engage with you by doing more than just tapping that heart.
Well, right.
The more engagement you can get, the more the algorithm will push your post out, because it's basically thinking, oh, well, 15 people have liked this and 3 people have made a comment, so this post is valuable, more people want to see it, so it'll push it out to more people. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you don't get any engagement at all, it won't be pushed out and people won't see it. But equally, just as important as creating engaging posts on your own grid, is also to engage with other people's posts. Engagement is what it's all about, and so that's engaging with people that you follow, engaging with posts under hashtags that are pertinent to your industry or business as well, just to try and expose your brand and get conversations going. Mm-hmm. This is where I think, social media, the clue's in the name. It's social and it's media. So treat it as you would any other marketing platform, with good quality content that reflects your brand very, very well, and be sociable at the same time. It's hard.
It is hard, but I have noticed that the more, as you talk about being real and authentic, but the more personal you can, and the more people can relate to you, the more you do get that engagement and following and likes and things like that.
Yeah, and so I think if it's showing it's called person-to-person marketing, so showing people behind the brand. So if you have got a team working for you, share that team, tell people who, Andrea does this and she's responsible for X, Y, and Z, or share a nice story about them, do profiles about them. Just put a face to the name, because it is a social platform, Instagram. And people like to see what's going on behind the scenes as well. It doesn't always have to be a perfect grid with everything beautifully designed and created. Having a bit of reality in there and being authentic and really reflecting your own values is really important. It's what people want to see.
And working in the Africa industry, it really is all about the people. So we've got, perfect food for social media, really. It's not just about the landscapes and the conservation and the wildlife. It's very much also about the people. So I do agree with that.
You've also got the opportunity of those amazing photography as well, and things that really, animals, things that really do capture attention. People love images of animals.
Sunsets, sunrises, landscapes, there is, you know, the material is there, I guess. Then a question that would come from that is, you've got the material, what about the caption and the hashtags?
Hashtags are really important. I see hashtags as, I describe them as shop windows. So it's like putting your post into a shop window. So when people who aren't experienced with Instagram think, oh, I've got to use the, you know, the last, they'll go out there and find hashtags with 5 million posts. But if you imagine that as a shop window, your post is buried then amongst those 5 million other posts. So if you are trying to build your Instagram following, it's better to use more niche hashtags with a fewer number of posts. You know, you can go as low as 500 posts on a hashtag. It doesn't mean that it's a rubbish hashtag. It just means you've got more chance of being found in that hashtag. So research hashtags and research them regularly. Don't rely on the same hashtags all the time. Your posts ought to have different hashtags every time. So and the hashtags take a lot of time to type in. So if you can use a scheduling app like Later or Plannerly, that are great, especially Later because you can post to Facebook on there as well. But you can build hashtag banks. So you can do your research, find particular hashtags that you're interested in, and create different banks that you can then include in your posts. And also measure your results. So if you've got a particular bank of hashtags and you get a lot of engagement from those hashtags, then that's a good set to use. So use them again.
Yeah. Well, that's brilliant. And just, you know, just sort of to finish off, what about the future of social media?
Well, it's definitely here to stay.
So we've got to embrace it.
Got to embrace it. It's not going anywhere. I actually saw at Christmas time, and I think this shows how much marketing through social media has grown. I actually saw an ad on ITV advertising their own ad space, which I'd never seen before. And I think there's been a huge shift to advertising on social media because you can control it. It's cheaper. You can turn it off if it's not working. You know, if you make an error, you can change it very, very quickly. Whereas if it's gone to print, you can't. It's, you know, it's much more controllable. It's much more efficient and economical. So I think the future is definitely social media for marketing. But it's got, when you are marketing social media, it's not one or the other. It's both combined together. It's organic and paid together. Mm-hmm. So if you have a paid budget, it's really important that you're running a solid organic page as well. The algorithm will support paid advertising better for pages that are posting organically and doing a really good job of that. And that's about having a variety of content, not just talking about yourself all the time, sharing information that adds value to the user. This is what Facebook and Instagram is all about. They want to deliver information to their users that they think they want to see.
And they want to keep them in the app. So, because I
want to keep them in the app, yeah. So that's something that's changed quite a lot. When I trained, it was really, you know, I was trained to share important articles and blogs and so on, and that you can still do that, particularly on Facebook. You know, still do that. That's how you add value. But Facebook prefer it if you keep them in the app. So if you are going to be sharing added value, it's probably better to share posts rather than taking people outside to go to various articles. Certainly do that now and again, but I wouldn't be doing it 3 or 4 times a week, just maybe once a week, something like that, to try and keep people in the app. So that's again about creating engaging posts, creating polls, sharing other people's posts that are pertinent to your business as well. Obviously not competitors.
No, but I mean, what you're saying is that if you see a post that you like that might have you want to almost share that rather than the link or the article, etc., etc.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
People. Is that the same for Instagram as well?
Instagram is less about sharing other posts. You can share other people's posts, but it's a bit more complicated. It's not instant like it is on Facebook.
No, that's
but you can certainly mentioning other people, referring to things that other people have done. So just tagging them basically. Yeah, because when you tag somebody else, they'll get a notification to say that you've tagged them. and that will alert them to your post. And they might not be following you, so then you're alerting them. They might think, oh, who's on the way? So I'll go and have a look. Oh, that's a really interesting feed. I'm going to follow that. So tagging on Instagram is really, really important as well. The other thing that is key is video. Video is king. It has been for a long time, but it still is. So using things like going live on Facebook and Instagram. The algorithm loves it. Unfortunately, users don't.
No, I know. I think we wholeheartedly had the intention of trying to go live today on Instagram, but unfortunately we've resorted to Zoom just because it wasn't in our favour today. We'll try again another day.
But if you can build up the courage to go live, and go live quite often, again, the algorithm loves it. And particularly on Instagram, if you go live, you can then save that live video into your IGTV. And IGTV is something else that's becoming really popular on Instagram as well. So again, with Instagram, it's using all of the facilities that are available. If the app likes that, if you can use the grid, stories, IGTV, going live, then the algorithm will favour you more. And it's the same with Facebook. Facebook loves engagement. Facebook loves video because people like watching videos.
They do.
A top tip: try to caption. If you're doing a pre-recorded video, use captions because people usually have their sound turned off on their mobiles. So try to caption any videos that you put out. It makes a big difference.
So then, just to finish off, TikTok. Should we be paying attention to it or not? Because I think it's something that we're hearing about, but it seems to be like my niece is on it, and I don't want to sound old at all because I'm trying to be modern. And I wouldn't want to delete that, what I just said. But what is TikTok about?
I don't know anything about TikTok.
Oh, that's right then. Okay.
Yeah, I don't use it. I mean, yeah, it's growing. I think it's predominantly younger, but I don't know enough about it to be able to say what you should be doing.
I know, it's just that everyone talks about it and we're all a little bit hesitant.
Yeah, I think Facebook and Instagram are always going to be staying ahead of the trends. So whatever anyone else is doing, they're going to be doing. Yeah. Facebook have just launched a new shopping facility. So they already had Facebook shops, but it was a bit low profile, but they've just launched new ones. They're always changing all the time. It's quite hard being in this job, staying abreast of all the latest trends.
No, it's also quite hard being a small business owner who has to try and but then we have people like you who can help us, so that's fantastic. Okay, so to just finish off, any last words?
I think if you are running your own social media, it's to try and think of it as part of your marketing responsibilities. And if you are somebody who posts, and a lot of us do, oh, I haven't put a post out, I've got to put a post out, and you could then find you're spending 2 hours trying to think about what to post. Whereas if you spend some time thinking about a strategy, so what sort of content can I share on my social media, and then brainstorm lots of different ideas. I call them content segments. You know about this, Anna, because you've got your strategy. Content segments, brainstorm lots of different ideas, and then set time aside every week. So it might be one morning a week or one afternoon a week, which is devoted to your social media, where you plan your content for the week ahead, or 2 weeks ahead, or a month ahead if you can, but 2 weeks ahead, and then you create your content, you write your captions, you create your hashtag banks, and then you get it all out and planned for the week in one morning or one afternoon. And then you don't have to worry about it. So instead of spending 2 hours thinking about what can I post, invest those 2 hours into a regular time each week where it's social media marketing. Like you would with anything else, if you were sitting down to do your invoicing or sitting down to plan a client meeting, you wouldn't just think, oh, what can I say? You'd put some thought and time into it. It's exactly the same as social media. It's now a role. If you had a social media manager, they'd be working on it for you regularly in that way. Mm-hmm. So if you can't afford to employ someone, then you need to try and plan it into your own time.
And then for anything spontaneous or that comes up, you can use stories.
Yeah, and you can still post on your grid as well. It depends what type of grid that you have. If you have a grid that's very designed, then it's more difficult to be spontaneous. mean, I'm running a grid that's quite designed at the moment, and sometimes I think, oh, I can't post that because it won't fit in with my colour scheme. So then I'll just stick it on stories. And that's another thing you can do as well. If you haven't got time to, if you've done a grid post and you haven't got time to do a story as well, you can share your grid post to your stories, just so that you're there in the story feed and you're being seen.
And something you can highlight a little bit more.
Yeah, you can highlight it more as well. Yeah.
Okay, so for anyone who is interested in finding out more about Facebook ads strategizing, how can they contact you?
I've got a website called datasensocial.co.uk and my email address is on there. I've also got Instagram and Facebook. I've got pages on there under Datasan Social, and I happily answer messages that come through. You can direct message me. I'm happy to have a discovery chat with anybody who's interested. And I think for businesses going forward, I do recommend that people start budgeting for paid social as well if they want to grow their presence online and grow their social media presence. You can achieve a much wider reach by putting money behind it. And if you can go beyond the boost button, you can achieve a lot more and it's more controlled.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time today.
You're welcome.
We will post this on the various social media platforms, and then also add, you know, a tag to you so that people can find you easily as well. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm going to stop the recording now, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you for having me.